In this video, we're going to focus on how we can give two scales, or how we can add up two scales items and then give them each an individual color. So let's start to look how to add multiple scale titles with different colors in Chart.js. So to do this, what we're going to do here is we need to have first, of course, our default code, which you can find in Chartjs3.com, getting started. And this link is also in the description box. Scroll down here and just copy this chunk of code here. And if you want to understand what this code does, make sure you watch this video that explains it all. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just paste it all in here. And once I did that, I'm going to cut this out and just put it in there. Save that, refresh, there we are. So now we have a bar chart, and I think what would be more appropriate is here a line chart. We have two different lines. So to convert this, first of all, a different data set, comma, paste, and then next here I'm going to convert it into a line chart. For the different data set, I'm going to give one individual color. So let's grab here the red color, and then there we are. We can say here red sales. All right. And then we have here another one. Let's make this the blue color, which would be the blue sales. So this, and then here, there we are. And I'm going to grab here the second color, by the way. The second color is the blue one. And I guess the border width can be removed. We don't need a border width. We could even remove the arrays here, but for now that's fine. I will save this, but then of course I need to give this some unique numbers, or else it will not be visible. So I'm going to just give everything some default number of 9. Save this, refresh. Alright, so now we have two lines here. What I want to do now is to put in here a Y scale, and the Y scale should have these values in here, or the title. So in the Y scale, comma, we're going to say here the title object, and in here we're going to indicate display. If we want to display a title, we say true. Secondly, what I want to do is the text. So let's say here text, for example, here red sales. Save that, refresh. So if you see this here, this is nice, but what we want to do is now to have also the blue sales in here. But doing that with this might not be the best way. If you do like this, it will be just a long line here. So what we want to do here is basically we can do here an array. If you do an array, we'll say your blue sales. What will happen? It will then convert into two independent lines. What is important here, while they are independent lines, they are not independent text, or at least they don't function like that as how I hoped it would. So that's why we need to use a trick here around. We cannot use here a default color and just give it the option here, because normally we would be able to do this. We say color here, and we would be able to do here maybe say here red, and afterwards we want to have blue. If I save this, refresh, it doesn't respond at all. Secondly, if we only do one color here, save that, refresh, both are being colored. So this would mean that this functions very close to a single item, and even if I do a like a function, a callback function, it just doesn't work. So that will mean what we need to do is, if this is like a separate or a single block, we're going to work it as a single block, and we're going to use gradient for that. And the gradient, what we're going to do basically is coloring this side red and coloring this one blue, or specifically these colors here, the red and the blue here, put it in there. So let's start to work on that. To do this, I need to remove this here, and I'm going to make this a callback. So I'm going to say your context, and this callback will be an advanced callback with gradient functionality. So we're going to say here, first of all, what would be nice is here just to start creating the gradient so we have an understanding of it. So I'm going to say here constant gradient. Oh, sorry, before I even do that, let's look at the .console log of context, because we will be using later some values out of this here. If I refresh there, open up developer tab, you can see here a lot of information in here. And what we need here is basically in the scales, then we're going here basically into chart rendering or chart, and then we can do the CTX here, or we can do directly here CTX, which makes sense. I'll just grab this one here, because basically the CTX would pinpoint which canvas we're targeting. As you can see, if I hover over this, it will hover this target or this canvas, and then we're going to draw in this canvas. And what we're really going to draw is not really a design, we just color the text here. So let's start to work on that. So what I'm going to say here is, first of all, we're going to say context, the context dot scale, and then in the scale, we're going to select here basically the CTX. That will be fine. And then what I want to do here, because now we're going to say, all right, we start to draw something. What are we going to do then is basically the following. I'm going to say, we're going to give this a constant. Let's say this is gradient, and just give it some default color. So we're going to say you're done. Create linear gradient. And then the linear gradient, and this one will be a tricky one, because basically we have here 4 parameters. First one is the X position, and then we have next one is the Y position, and then afterwards would be basically the X and Y starting position, and afterwards would be the X position end or X end and Y end. So why is this so tricky? Well, because if you look at this, you might say, alright, so we just need to look how many pixels to the right we need to go, and that's it. The answer is no. And the reason why is, look at the text. The text has been rotated, meaning that this is basically a square or a rectangle, but this rectangle has been rotated, meaning we need to think still in the same way as if it would be not rotated. So move it back with a with 90-degree angle, and then what happens, you will see red from left to right. So imagine that. Once you can imagine that, you can probably figure out we don't have to work on left and right coordinates. No, we have to go work on the top and bottom coordinates, or basically the vertical level. This here is still considered top and bottom, and this is left and right. Exactly, this is quite a tricky part of Canvas, because it rotated it, and because of the rotation, which we call a transform of an element, it creates this effect. So what I want to do now is the following. I want to start giving some basic colors here. So where we need to start is basically this. We're going to start, and remember, we're still pinpointing this text here, because we are in the object of text. We're not even looking here at the corner here, but just basically in here. So this is very important. So what I want to say here, first of all, 0. We want to start here up 0, and we want to go down 0 first. So I'm going to say here 0, and then next I want to go here. How many pixels to the right do I need to go? And right would mean here going that direction. Well, 0. We don't need to go that direction. We need to go this direction here. So we say 0, and then next here a X amount. How much or how many pixels this will be based on what is the font size. The font size for a title, if I'm not mistaken, is 10 pixels. So I'm going to grab here 10. So just for the sake of it, because we have 2, we're going to put it 20. Once we have this, we can now start to do the next part, which is the gradient color. So it's a gradient dot add color stop. That's the next command. And then in here, our starting point will be at 0. So it's just a 0. And remember, if it's only going down here, halfway through, we eventually need to change the color. Or if we would have more, it would be depending on. However, in this case, it's just halfway through. Because we're going down here, this is 20 pixels in difference. So 10 pixels, we need to change the color. So what I'm going to say here, I say 0. That's a starting point, then comma. And then what I want to do here is probably get their colors, but for now, I'm just going to say red. And once I did that, I'm going to do the next one, will be again red, but this red will be halfway through, so I say 0.5. And then once I did that, I'm going to say here will be blue. And of course, then we're done. Put a 1, and that will be blue as final. So with gradual, and this is very important, gradient means gradual transferring, right? But we don't want gradient. And the reason why is, let me show you. If I go to remove this, save that, refresh. Alright, so we have this one, and it doesn't work here yet. So let me double check what is the color or what is going on. Gradient, alright. So the reason why it doesn't show anything here is, of course, for one thing, I forgot to give a return. And the return is the gradient here. Save this, refresh. Alright, so you can see here, but it's gradually changing, and that's not what I want. So if I make this maybe pink, and this will be yellow, let's see what will happen then. You can see here it's halfway, and you can see the yellow is getting lighter and brighter by the until it hits the very end of here. So we don't want this. This is the reason why I have this here. What I want is an instant transformation from one color to another. So if I put this back here, put that back here. Oh, sorry, I want to make this blue, of course. Yeah, that would be too hard to read. Save, refresh. So now we have the instant transformation. You can see here how the instant transformation works. If I do it like this, you can see here the text is blue and then, or red, and then suddenly it jumps to blue. All right. So now I have this, but I want to grab these colors here, put it in there nicely, and of course I would like to have this a little bit more flexibility of calculating. Although I will not focus too much on this. Here, this requires about a lot of thinking, because the 0 here, what does it really mean? Is how many percent is the starting point, and 1 equals 100%. So 50% it would be 0.5. This is the reason why I use 0.5 here. That's 50%. Because I know 50% because the height of this is 10 pixels each. So what I'm going to do is, if I save this, refresh. Alright, so let's grab these colors here first. So how do we get these colors? Well, let's say context, and then we're going to say here for what is it? A constant, sorry. Constant, and then with the constant, we're going to do, let's see here, this will be a text color, and our text color will be based on the context here. But if I save this, let's refresh first, and let's look at where can we find the official colors. So let's move here, alright, and then what I want to do here, I'm going to go here into chart. We are in the scales, chart, and scroll all down here. We should somewhere have our data options here. Am I correct? There we are, sorry, our data object. Click on this object. Here, we can find here the data set, and then we can get here our colors. And I want here now the border color, so let's see how we get there and how we get back. So it's scale.chart.data, and then data sets 0, and then border color. And because it's an array, it's 0 for us. If it's not an array, it's just default. So let me repeat that one more time. That is, in the context, we'll say dot scale.chart.data sets. All right, if I save that one, let's see where we are. Refresh. There we are, and then once we are here, we can just get it, because we're going to assume always the same item. We have index 1 or index 0 here, and then here will be border color. And remember, because I have an array here, if I don't have an array here with this, so if I remove this, then in that case we don't have this. We can just assign it like this. But because I have an array and I will just maintain it as an array, we need to use here an array as well. So I'm going to grab this one here. Once I grab this, I'm going to convert that one there and convert this one here. And I'm going to save that. Refresh. Alright, so we have a unexpected token on 62. What is on 62? There is this one here. I think I just removed the comma. Am I correct? Yes, sorry, or the bracket was missing. There we are. Put a comma here just for the sake of it. There we are. So now we have this color, and this color is now more similar to that. So the same, what we're going to do now is for the other item. So I'm going to copy this, I'm going to put it in here, and I'm going to convert this into number 1 for the data set. But the border color maintains same. Just the first border color of data set number 1. Refresh here, and now you can see you get this lighter blue here. Beautiful. Alright, so now we have this here, and maybe if you want to calculate this, and this is probably an important one here. How do you calculate it? Because now we have this hard coded, so I want to soft code that one a little bit. The other items here, soft coding, this one requires a percentage focus. So if you have multiple length, and I'm going to show you how you get the length if you have multiple arrays, then you can basically recalculate this and calculate the percentage of it. So what I'm going to do here is the following. I'm going to get here, what we do just a console log. I can just delete this console log for now. And then what I want to do here is the we have the context, alright. Then what I'm going to say is we need to get what exactly is this in the scale. Well, let's save that and refresh and just let me show you. So we are now in the scale, alright. So in the scale, I need to go to chart. Because what I want to do is I want to get the length of this. So we need to figure out this one. So I go into the chart, and then from there, what I'm going to do here is I go to configuration. Or maybe, instead of chart, if I scroll down here, maybe we can find here the option. Or is it in the chart the option? Alright, that one would be maybe more easier. We go in here, oh, and it doesn't allow us to show us the items, or maybe it does. So let's see here if I have that one. Do I see it here in the scales? Or the X? No. Alright, so it doesn't allow us. So that would mean that we have to go the hardware that I have prepared. So we go in the chart. And then from the chart here, we have to look, let me check, we have to go to configuration. And from configuration, we go to underscore configuration. And from the underscore configuration, we can go to option. And from the option, we can go to scale X or scale Y. Let's click on scale Y. And then we can look here for the title. And the title here will be text. That's the one. We can see here our items, so we can get here the length of that. So let's look at what is, if I click on this, or let's hover over it to find the full namespace. Alright, so you can see here it is chart.config ._config .option .scales.y .title.text. Alright, so let's go and grab that one. That's a mouthful. So get ready. So I'm going to, I will just repeat that one. So that is chart, or we're already on chart. So we have this already prepared in advance. So we say here chart. And then we say here .config for configuration. And then there's underscore configuration. And then what we're going to do is in the options. And in the options, we have the scales. And this is basically just in our object itself, the scales, the Y. Then we say the title. And then we have here the text. So if I save this, refresh, there we are. We have this one now. So what I want to do here, .length. Save that, refresh, we get now the length of 2. Alright, so now what I want to do here, constant. Maybe we can say here, this, we can say here text. Well, we can say here text length, I guess. Put that in there, and I guess I have this one here as well, the color that I don't think has any value for us. Or, oh sorry, it might have if I can just short this one, make it easier for us. But that's alright. For now, later on, I will just make that more better. So we have this one here. And what I want to do is the text length. We know that it has about 10 pixels, so I'm going to say multiply by text length. So if you have 2 items, if you have 3 items, it will calculate and recalculate and will change it. Of course, the colors need to be changed as well. What I want to do now is, because I will not focus on this, but probably you can figure out if you have 3 items, it's 1 divided by 3. And then you get 0.33. So what I want to do here, the text color, I'm going to grab all of this here. Let's see here, the data set could be as well. Copy that, put it in there. And just copy this, put it in there. So we say here text color, so we have a shorthand, which is a bit more professional of refactoring. Save that. Refresh. Our colors are still same intact. Our length is here. What would happen if I would do another one here? Green sales. You will see now what happens is basically it converts and calculates here. What we could do, I guess we can just do it quickly, is we have this is the default of 0. Then what we want to do here is where is that one? Our length, text length. We do here 1 divided by text length. That will be 2 or 3 or something more. If we do that, of course, you need to reconsider how to do that one. And this one probably would be multiplied by 2, I guess. You have to really consider this one. This one is slightly more tricky, of course. And then here, alright, multiplied by 2. This is not allowed. We say here this. Text length. How will we do this? No, alright, I'll just skip it for now. I would recommend you to study this on your own. I might make a separate video if someone would request for it. But most likely, if you spend some time on it, you will be able to figure that one out. So if I refresh this, let's go back and remove that green cells here. We have now the official structure. Save that, refresh. There we are. So if you enjoyed this video, maybe you want to learn also something else. Very similar to this is, for example, if you want to have a single text. Although doing a single text on here is really hard to, for example, have 2 colors on red and sales. But I have another one here that would go more elaborately into that in a far more easier structure, which is here how to add a dual text color in the center of the donut chart, where this is basically just one single text. And it's a good practice as well to understand what I did in the other video with the scales.